Okay, cool. Where we at? All right, feels good to be back. It's been a minute. I'm excited, man. A lot to talk about, a lot of things to discuss. Um, I don't even know where to begin. It's been so long. Please excuse my background. Like I said, I moved. That's why I've been away for such a long time. And I'm finally starting to get settled in to my new place. Still working on some things, trying to get my room set up so I can stream more and stream better. But as of right now, man, I'm just excited to talk about a lot of stuff today. So I don't even want to beat around the bush, man. I just got so many thoughts on everything that's been happening over the last couple of weeks. I want to talk about a lot of stuff, and I got a little bit of time to do it. So let's go ahead and try to get this party started. Let's see. All right, here we go. All right, so Sega, big deal. I know a lot of people want to try to blow it off and make it seem like it's not a big deal. Obviously, it's not an acquisition, and I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't want Microsoft to buy Sega. Sega is such a huge platform with a lot of IP. It would be ideal if they did, but obviously that's not what they're going for. So we know that's not what they're trying to do. But the partnership with them, trying to develop games for or help Sega develop games using cloud and online services is a big deal. Um, I know it seems like it's similar to the Sony situation, but it really isn't. It's not similar. Whereas Sony is trying to use Azure to put their own games out, their own MMOs and their own online games, so that way they can go ahead and push their stuff via cloud because their cloud infrastructure just isn't there. Sega wants to work with Microsoft, or if you want to say work with Xbox in a way where they can develop these major games for them, for Sega. Now, it's not to say that I expect them to get exclusives from Sega. I don't. I really don't. I know a lot of people feel like they feel like they will get them, but in my honest opinion, I don't think that Microsoft will get exclusives from Sega. Now, if they were to get some exclusives from Sega, it would probably be timed kind of like Fantasy Star Online, the way that works. I could see them get an exclusive. Maybe like if they worked on a game and it finally was finished and it was in development and it was finally done, the first place they will release it on is Xbox because they're using Microsoft technology. That I could see. I could see them taking a big MMO or taking a big online game, maybe a service title that they've been working on for a long time and putting it on Xbox first. And then eventually maybe it goes to PlayStation. Eventually maybe it goes to Nintendo. But I could see Microsoft having first dibs on a lot of titles that Sega's working on in that space. It just makes sense. You know, why would you develop a game using the technology of a platform and then turn around and put the game first on another platform? You know, like another gaming platform. I just don't see how that's going to happen. You know, maybe they could release the games at the same time, but I just think that it's not going to happen that way. I just truly believe that they're going to wind up releasing said games on Xbox more than likely first, or have those games released exclusively timed on Xbox first. That's just the way I think that is going to go. A lot of people don't think that it's going to happen that way because they feel like Sega's just using Azure and it's got nothing to do with Xbox. But it's the furthest thing from the truth. And that's clearly evident by what Sarah Bond has stated recently and how she said that, let me bring it up real quick. Yeah. And how she stated, she said, "My love for Sega and their games date back to playing on my Dreamcast. It's been a delight to lead our partnership with Sega, and I'm thrilled to take it to the next level, creating novel gaming experiences using the power of Azure. Can't wait to share more in the future." You don't say those type of things if you don't expect games to come to Xbox. That's not what you put out there to the world, especially as a executive in the Xbox division. You just don't put that out there. You can say what you want about Sega, maybe not including Xbox in their marketing or their announcement, but the reality of it is when it comes to gaming, Xbox is the division for Microsoft. Azure obviously is the cloud service that holds everything together, but you're talking about building novel gaming experiences using the power of Azure. And there's no other place other than the Xbox division that's going to be developing games for Azure. So Sega is obviously going to be working with Microsoft and working with Xbox in a way where they're going to learn how to use Azure the way Microsoft uses Azure for their gaming division. And I'm sure that's going to be very impactful to them. And whenever their games are done and developed, I expect to see those games probably first on Xbox. It just makes sense. Why wouldn't you? I guarantee you the platform they're going to be building that game on first is going to be Xbox. That's probably going to be the baseline console that they work with first. Like, how could you not logically think that's not going to happen? Like, just think about that. How could you not logically think that that wouldn't happen? Like, I get it. You're bitter. I understand being bitter. Microsoft and Sega working together. Oh my God, this can't be true. This has to be, there has to be some underlying lie behind it, or it has to be some underlying thing behind it. Oh, they're not working together. It's just business. Bro, it's more than that. That's just the reality of it. It's more than that. And it's okay. It's okay to cope with that situation and be like, you know what? Microsoft is making some great moves this generation, and they are building some great partnerships this generation, and it's working out for them. And to be honest with you, with them working with Sega, it's a good deal. It's a big deal because it helps them develop a great relationship with a company in Japan and allows them to continue to make the moves that they want to make. Now, I'm not sure that it leads to anything other than a partnership. I'm not talking about acquisitions. I'm not talking about Microsoft buying Sega. I'm not talking about Microsoft buying any other company. All I'm saying is that if you think this partnership isn't more than Sega using Azure, you'd be a fool. You'd be a fool. You would. Now, will you see a whole bunch of Sega games hit Xbox eventually? I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to see a bunch of Sega games all of a sudden become exclusive to the platform. But I think that what's going to wind up happening again is that Microsoft is going to be the test bed for whatever Sega wants to do once they finish their super game that they're building. I truly believe that. I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft got early access, with Game Pass or just early access in general, how they do the early access games on Xbox. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they use Microsoft as the test bed for whatever they're developing and using Azure because it's a part of the Xbox platform. Like, why wouldn't you do that? It's just logical. It just makes sense. Like, we can't be this dense because people are fanboys. We can't be this dense because people are you have sides. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're supposed to be gamers, and we should want this type of technology to expand across all platforms. So that way we all benefit from great gaming. You know what I'm saying? Like, going into the future of gaming, you want these services to be as well crafted and as well built as possible, so we don't have a whole bunch of lag. We don't have a whole bunch of screen tearing, a whole bunch of drops when we're playing the game and crashes. Like, you want this technology to develop and evolve. And the more people using the technology, the better it gets, whether it's PlayStation, whether it's Sega, whether it's Microsoft. And be honest with you, Nintendo needs to hop on that bandwagon too, because their online services is trash. Like, I've heard about that and seen what's been going on with Nintendo and their online services, and it's pretty bad. So if I was them, I would definitely try to figure that out and work on that. But at the end of the day, man, I just think that the Sega Azure partnership is going to be great going into the generation. I'm really impressed with the moves that Microsoft is making. And yeah, obviously it's a slow start. You're looking at them not releasing major titles in the first year of their launch. But obviously we got this holiday coming up. with 2 big titles coming out. They've had some solid indie games, some solid mid-tier titles come out through the course of the year that kind of held Xbox gamers down, besides all the big third-party games that came out, and that's been pretty good. And Game Pass continues to be a success. I've had a long discussion with some people about that in some Twitter spaces. I want to jump into that because I had a conversation with Phil Spencer about Game Pass. I'm going to bring it up and try to post that image as well of our conversation so people can see where he's from, which kind of aligned with my initial thoughts of Game Pass too, because I just don't think people truly grasp what Game Pass is. They just want to grasp what it isn't. And I think that's a big deal. That's a big problem. But anyway, let's move on. Xbox is going to release Halo and Forza in the next couple of months. Forza this month actually, and Halo next month. I saw the campaign trailer, and I gotta say, man, as a person who was not going to play Halo because they didn't have co-op at launch. And I want people to understand where I'm coming from with this. I've said this before on a last show or two. One of the reasons why I didn't want to play Halo at launch because it didn't have co-op was because I've played every Halo co-op from day one. Back in the day when the OG Xbox came out, I was a huge PlayStation fanboy, and all I played was JRPGs. And I never was into shooters. I couldn't get into them. I didn't understand the controls. I just thought it was very clunky and confusing. And I remember the Xbox selling for real cheap in GameStop. And I was like, everybody was like, come on, man, just get one. So I was like, all right, cool. So I went out, I finally got one, and I started playing Halo, the first Halo. And when I first started playing it, it seemed like a generic shooter at first, but then the more I played it and the more I explored the game, the more I realized how crazy wrong I was about the game. And it was bigger than what I thought it was going to be. And playing the game co-op with my homeboy, going to his crib, we used to play local co-op, obviously. We would play that game for hours. And I think the experience of unscripted actions happening in the game is what made it so exciting. Little things. Like I remember one time we were on a map close towards, I want to say maybe close to the end of the game, where everything turns to snow. And we're coming out of some tunnel, walking up a hill. And as we're coming up the hill, there's Flood fighting the Covenant. And a missile is shot at us before we even get to the area. And he goes left, I go right, and the missile passes between us. And we're literally in front of each other, and the missile passes between us. And that may seem kind of like, okay, whatever, like who cares? But at that time, it was like, oh, it was a crazy experience because we were like, it wasn't something we thought of. It just happened. Like he just knew to go left. I knew to go right to avoid the missile, and it passed between us. And those are the type of experiences that we find really cool and fun. You're just playing the game and you guys are just doing things. And sometimes you just click together. Like the little things that you do, you just randomly click together. It's like you guys are reading each other's minds without even talking. And those are the things that I think that made Halo co-op so much fun. We get on the elevator, we're going down into the Halo ring itself, and we're on there, and we both hit the reload button at the same time. Like we're getting ready, we get all excited. It almost feels Contra-ish. Anyway, we get down, just lighting everything up, and it's just fun, man. When you play co-op, and don't get me wrong, I think the single player experience is cool as well, but it's just something about playing Halo co-op that just brings it to a whole nother level of enjoyment. So I was very disappointed to find out that Halo wasn't going to have any co-op. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to play the campaign until co-op comes out. Then they showed the campaign. And everything sort of changed because I really like the direction that they've taken the campaign. And I'm really considering playing Halo by myself, or at least some of it by myself, before I even play co-op. And I don't know if it's because they got like this sort of Far Cry approach, like this approach where you're like hitting up these bases, and if you take them out and you accomplish the goal of defeating the base, you get a certain object or you get certain things or whatever. And the game is semi-open world and there's so much to explore. So it's like, it's a bit different than your linear Halos where you kind of just on a mission going down a one track lane type of thing where, you're not really exploring. It's very Halo 1-ish, but it's, I was excited about it, man. Like, obviously Halo has never been a graphical showcase. I think it wasn't a graphical showcase till about 4. I think Halo 4 really impressed me graphically. I think 5 looked really good as well. I did a really great job with 5. 6 looks okay. 6 looks good. It doesn't look bad. Does it look extremely next gen? No, but it looks good. A lot of people, I think, are just downplaying the game and trying to make it like it's supposed to be some type of graphical showcase game. But Halo has never been what Gears is. Like, when we look at Gears, we always looked at Gears as a graphical showcase. Like, Gears has always been the game on Xbox, and I want to say Forza, that has been like the top tier for graphics on Xbox and what the Xbox could do. Halo was never in that category. So I don't know why all of a sudden people are trying to put Halo in that category. But we know why. We all know why. And it's just the reality of it is it's just never been in that space. But Halo Infinite looks good. And we have no idea what that engine is capable of or what it allows us to do once we play the game. So we'll have to see how that all pans out. But at the end of the day, the game looks great. I'm excited about the game. I really want to jump into it and dive into it. I can't wait to play it. And I'm really looking forward to the multiplayer. I can't wait to get a team up, man, and get back into playing big team battles. I had some of my best, fondest memories playing big team battle on Halo 2. I mean, the hours and hours of playing Capture the Flag on Halo 2 was just absolutely amazing. I really feel like I'm going to get that feeling again when it comes to Halo Infinite. I feel like the king is back, baby. The king is back. That's just how I feel very excited about it. Forza 5 is looking like it's going to be one of the best Forzas, at least Forza Horizon 5, shall I say. It's looking like it's going to be one of the best Horizons to date. I think Horizon as a franchise has been very impressive, and what they've done with 5 looks even more incredible than what they did with 4. I think more than anything, it shows that Playground is an elite development studio. And I cannot wait to see what they've done with Fable. Because if what they've done with Forza 5 looks this impressive, Fable is going to be absolutely incredible. It's already made me feel like it's going to put Fable in the upper echelon of games on Xbox where it always belonged, but where it never was. You understand what I'm saying? Like when we look at the OG Xbox or the 360 Xbox, shall I say, you've always had Halo and then obviously Gears during the 360 era, and then eventually Forza later on as this A-list of flagship titles for Xbox. But then you would go to like the B tier, and the B tier was stuff like Crackdown and Fable, and everything like that. And I just felt like Fable was a good RPG, but it never truly lived up to the expectations because of what Peter Molyneux used to put on the game. You know, the things he used to say, and then we would get the game and those things weren't there, or they weren't there 100% fully. Fable wasn't a bad game, but I just think it never truly reached its potential. But I feel like with Playground, it has an opportunity to finally reach its potential. and become the game that it was meant to be. And I'm so glad that they've taken a more realistic approach to the game. And I think the environments for the game is going to be beautiful. I think the world is going to be amazing. And I'm so excited to see what Playground does for this game. I just think that Playground is one of the best studios Microsoft has without question, especially when it comes to um, their studios. Microsoft has a lot of studios on top of that. So seeing what else the other studios offer down the road is going to be exciting as well. But right now, I want to put Playground probably as maybe number 1 or 2 when it comes to the best studios Microsoft has at this point. Obviously, I want to put probably the Coalition because of how well they do with Unreal Engine at 1 or 2 as well. But they're definitely in the top 3 studios for Xbox. So Forza Horizon 5 coming up around the corner should do extremely well. I don't know what the fanboys were talking about when they were talking about how you couldn't get the game on Game Pass, you had to pay for it. It's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. And it's just amazing that people just didn't comprehend what Microsoft had put out when it came to the chart and what you could play and what you couldn't play and what you had to buy and what you didn't need to buy when it came to it. But if you don't know, all first-party games go into Game Pass. At least the base game goes into Game Pass. And if you wanted anything extra, yeah, you pay for it. And I think that's smart. That's smart on their part. So, yeah, I don't know what they were thinking, but I'm just glad that that all got straightened out and, we can expect to get these 2 hot big titles on Game Pass in the next 2 months. So very excited about that. Let's jump into topic number 3. So Xbox Series X sells about 8 mil plus, according to NPD. I don't really know if Microsoft has sold more consoles than that or less consoles than that. What I do understand is that it's outselling the Xbox One. And that is a good thing. Obviously, it's a good thing. Considering Microsoft releases their games on PC, considering everybody always talks about how you're not going to sell consoles if you put your games on PC, this states is further from the truth. It's not really about competing in console sales. It's about allowing access to your ecosystem and your games now in this new generation. However, selling 8 million consoles already within a year is still an amazing feat. And a big congratulations to Microsoft and what they've done with the Xbox Series X and S. They're actually doing pretty decent in Japan, considering that for 8 to 9 years, they barely broke 100,000 consoles on the Xbox One. They're already close to breaking the Xbox One sales record in Japan in the first year. That's incredible. Yeah, it's sad at the same time, but it's incredible at the same time. So, listen, I'm glad to see that Microsoft is doing so well, man. I'm happy for them. As a person who is a platform holder of Xbox, it's good to see that Microsoft is having success, and that Microsoft believes in the Xbox division and continues to support the Xbox division and pushes them forward in the industry with both developing budgets and gaming acquisitions to go ahead and make sure that Xbox continues to be a success. So that's good for them. Shout out to PlayStation. PlayStation, I believe, just hit 13 mil, which is also very impressive. They're already outpacing the PlayStation 4. So that's really good for them as well. And that's to be expected as a global brand. PlayStation is very popular amongst fans. And they've put out some really, really good titles so far this year. Because again, it's the whole year. Not just because they don't have anything at the holiday season doesn't mean they haven't put out some decent titles in the beginning of the generation and beginning of the year. Let's put some respect on PlayStation's name here. But at the same time, Microsoft right now is about to kill the game at the end of the year, which is good for them. I want to talk about Game Pass. So I had a discussion. Let's see. I'm going to bring this up. No, that's not it. I had a discussion a couple of days ago with some guys in a Twitter space about Game Pass. And they were talking about Game Pass in a way where they made it seem like Microsoft's success. They try to say it wasn't that, but it just felt like they felt that Xbox's success was dependent on Game Pass. And I could never understand why they felt that way when Game Pass isn't the end all be all for Xbox. So I was having a conversation with Phil Spencer, which I'm going to bring up shortly. I just want to edit some stuff real quick before I post it. I don't need everybody in my business. Okay. All right. So where is it? Screenshots. There we go. And it would be, is it this one? No, that's not it. I'm trying to bring up my latest shot very quickly. Right here, 44. Okay. Yep. All right. So I was having a conversation with these guys in the chat, and they try to make it seem like Game Pass was the end all be all, and that if Game Pass failed, that then Xbox would probably go out of business, or they would drop. Microsoft may drop Xbox. My thing is, I'm like, I don't understand the logic behind everybody wanting to see Game Pass either fail or wanting to know Game Pass's success. My thing is this: why do you care? Why does it matter? If you are interested in what they offer and you subscribe to the service, that should be the only thing that matters, right? If they have games and the games are good and you like them and you're constantly playing new games and you're constantly into the new content every month, that should be all that matters. You are already adding to the success and push of Game Pass by continually to participate in the platform, right? But for whatever reason, people are constantly trying to find ways to deplatform Game Pass or defraud Game Pass in a way to make it seem as if it's unsustainable. That if Xbox doesn't reach a magical number, that Game Pass is going to go out of business. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. And I knew it was the furthest thing from the truth because that is not the only way to access games through Game Pass. Game Pass is an option. It's always been an option. It's always been a way for you to access games if you don't want to purchase them. It's always been a way for you to access games if you just want to try them, and it also allows Microsoft to basically put out content without people having to worry about if a game is going to be good or not. You just get the chance to play it, and if it's good, then you have fun. If it's bad, you didn't really spend $60 on a game and have to worry about the money value to the game. Because me and my homeboy, we had a conversation. We talked about how a game seems more fun if it's bad, but it's cheap. Like, if you bought a bad game at $60, it wouldn't be as exciting or fun as you think it was, right? Because you paid $60 for it. And you kind of almost feel like you kind of wasted your money on the game and it's a bad game. But if you bought the game for, let's say, $15, it's the best $15 you spent on a game that was okay. It wasn't great, but it's only $15. Like the monetary value of a game for some apparent reason determines how much interest you have in a game. And with Game Pass allowing you to have access to so many different games, I think that it's allowed people to explore more games than they normally would and play more games than they would even try. And they've been able to experience new games, new genres that they normally wouldn't. And for them, that's been very fun and exciting. You know what I'm saying? So the value of Game Pass obviously is very subjective. It's based on what you're into and what's available. Clearly, at the same time, you can't deny the value and the cost of Game Pass and what it's giving you access to at the same time. So I just feel like they've done a really great job when it comes to that. But you have all these outside people who are, let's just say, either in the PC gaming or PlayStation guys, or I haven't seen really a lot of Nintendo people jump this bandwagon, but mostly PlayStation guys kind of, you know, I guess you could say, try to put Game Pass down because they don't have Game Pass. That's just the reality of it. PS Now is not Game Pass. They're not curating titles where they're trying to bring in games consistently, monthly. You're not seeing them kind of get third party support day and date, first party support day and date. A lot of their content is streamable, some of it downloadable. Nothing new as far as the new generation is hitting that platform. It's mostly older content, even older than Xbox's content. And the reason why the platform just doesn't get the respect it does is because Sony doesn't respect the platform the way Microsoft respects their platform. They don't promote it properly and they don't invest in it properly. And I think that's really the biggest issue. So you got a lot of people out there who look at PS Now and want to try to compare it to Game Pass and put them in the same category. And it's the furthest thing from the truth. They're just not in the same league. They're just not in the same league. That's just the reality of it. Obviously, PlayStation has some really great first party games, and they got some of those games on there that we've experienced over the years, and that's cool if you've never played PlayStation and played those games as well. But at the end of the day, you really want new experiences, and Xbox Game Pass continues to try to introduce new experiences as often as they possibly can. And I think that's really cool for them. So anyway, I had a conversation with these guys, and I wanted to ask Phil a question. And Phil hit me up, and he responded. And this is one thing I was saying on Twitter. I was like, the great thing about building Tick back in the day was how I was able to meet so many developers and executives when I was deep into the whole media thing, and built so many really good relationships with people that I could ask questions and they wouldn't hesitate to answer these questions. And having a relationship with Phil before he became vice president, before he became the sort of head of Xbox at the time, or right around when he became head of Xbox at the time, really was cool because he's always willing to answer the right questions. I wouldn't say he answers everything, but he's always willing to answer the right questions and give answers that he feels is appropriate for most conversations. And listen, I don't know how many people can say that they are following a vice president of Microsoft, let alone the head of Xbox, and they're able to ask the head of Xbox a question and get a response. But I'm proud to be able to do something like that. So anyway, let me see if I can pull up this. Screen shot very quickly. Where am I? Oh, here we go. So share. Yeah. Let's see here. Window, this one. Share. Okay. So had a conversation with Phil. I go, Phil, can you please answer this question? How do you guys determine what is successful for you guys with Game Pass? Is it consistent growth or something else? Obviously, Phil thought I was talking about an article, and he goes, don't take the bait on those kind of articles. It's not worth it. And I say, I only ask because I'm constantly debating armchair executives and explaining that Game Pass is an option for access to Xbox ecosystem. And success is dependent on more than just Game Pass. Being you can still buy games across PC, mobile, and console, I believe it's more about access to said games than just Game Pass. And he says you are exactly right. For us, it's always been about player choice, not any one specific business model. You nailed it. Now, with that being said, I just want to say that when you look at Xbox and the direction that they're going, it's not about the success in Game Pass. It's about the success in people playing their games, people having access to their games, being able to get the games in as many people's hands as possible by any which way direction you can possibly get them into it. We're looking at old business models and trying to constantly focus on old business models where sales are the end all be all. But it's so many ways to make money on games now that it's not just about the sale of a $60 game anymore. With microtransactions, with DLC, with subscription models. Obviously, you got online gaming. There's just so many ways to get access to these things and allowing people to access these things that no matter how you do it, as long as you're giving them access to a game somehow, some way, you're going to make this bread. Like if you play Destiny on Game Pass, right? But you don't have Ultimate, you can't play online. Let's say you don't have Xbox Live, but you can't play online. What's the point of getting Destiny without it? So maybe you jump to Ultimate, or maybe you pay for Xbox Live. That's just money you invested into that ecosystem. Even if you got Destiny for free, for example, you still pay to play online because it's an online game. So you're jumping into that service. I think the fact that Microsoft is finding a million ways to earn money without just being reliant on the sale of a game is what people are missing. That is the success. That's the success of what Xbox is trying to do. It's not just about selling a console. It's not just about selling the actual game. It's about trying to get people to purchase as many things as possible in your ecosystem, whether it's controllers, whether it's Xbox mini fridges, consoles, games, DLC packages, microtransactions, whatever it is that you're offering, you're giving as many people as possible access to it via Xbox, via mobile, via PC, via xCloud with streaming. So it's really not about the subscriptions. Now, the subscriptions matter in that obviously the more subs they get, the more successful it is for them. And obviously that's more money being generated on a monthly basis for Xbox, which I think personally allows them to invest more and take more risk. But you also got to keep in mind that Microsoft is also investing in sort of these what's where I'm looking for? Sustainable income type games like Sea of Thieves. Like Sea of Thieves isn't an MMO, but it's like an ongoing game, like Destiny. So you have these ongoing games constantly going. And as those games are going, you got people investing in it financially, putting their time into the game, whether they're getting DLC, whether they're getting, pirate items, ship items, whatever they're paying for. That's a cushion of funding that's constantly there for Xbox. I expect them to do that more. I'm hearing that there's an MMO that they're working on coming from, is it Obsidian or ZeniMax? I think ZeniMax is working on a new MMO. I think, oh my God, what's the game? Project Dragon. I believe is supposed to be some type of MMO coming from the IO Interactive, according to Jez. I want to say, shout out to Jez, and Windows Central. I believe that's supposed to be possibly an MMO, which is another game that will be sustainable if it's successful. I don't know how MMOs are doing nowadays. I haven't played an MMO in a very long time. I think the last MMO I played was Black Desert, and I couldn't find enough people to play with me long term. So I wound up stop playing the game. But when you have those type of ongoing service titles, see if these are a service title. I want to say State of Decay is almost a service title, the way they support it. You get an MMO, that becomes a service title. You start making this income that's constantly coming in. And that allows you to take risks. That allows you to make a game like a Quantum Break that may not be successful, but because you generated so much money with these other 3 games, you could take that hit because you could take that risk because you got a whole bunch of bread coming in from these other games. So, you're going to start seeing Sony doing something very similar. I think Sony is working on their own sort of service title. I think with, what's the girl's name? Oh my gosh, the girl who used to do the Ubisoft content. I can't remember her name exactly. But she has her own studio now, and she's working on a game for Sony, which is supposed to be some type of multiplayer title that's supposed to be a service game. And I could see Sony eventually doing that as well. Having their own service titles where, you're just generating income and it's constantly flowing in, and then you could take more risk. So I expect Microsoft to continue to do these things going forward. I just want people to understand that Game Pass isn't something where it is the end all be all, and that Microsoft is reliant on the success of Game Pass for them to be successful. That's not what it is. It's more than that. Phil clearly states that it's more than that. And if you're an Xbox fan, you know that it's more than that. The only people who don't know that's more than that is the people who aren't Xbox fans or truly are into what Xbox is doing in their direction and their ecosystem, because you just aren't following what's happening. You're not following what's happening. You're trying to follow the negative trend to try to be popular among the fanboys. And the reality of it is that if you're not truly going to research and understand what the platform is doing, why even talk about it at all? Because you just sound dumb at this point. So, I just hope that people hear what I'm saying and understand where Xbox is coming from, and in the future, maybe take some of my words and some of Phil's words and run with that instead of making something up. Something negative anyway for Game Pass. PlayStation games are going to PC. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I went ahead and updated my Steam account. I do plan to get God of War on Steam if it comes out. I never played it, so I did try it when it was on the PS Now, but I didn't have a controller. I think I was using my Xbox controller for it. It just felt weird, like the button controls didn't match up. So I think I'm going to get a DualShock for my PC and play the game. But unless I get a PlayStation 5 before then, like this holiday season, then maybe I won't do that. I'll just get it on play it on PlayStation 5. But I think that PlayStation games going to PC is good. It's good for PlayStation. I tell fans all the time, why wouldn't you want those games on PC? Why wouldn't you want Sony to make more money and reach a bigger audience? Like this gatekeeping of trying to lock games behind one platform or one console, shall I say, not platform, but just behind the console, is archaic in today's standards. And I get it. Listen, I'm a dinosaur. I know exactly how PlayStation fans feel because I felt that way once Microsoft started putting their games on PC. I was a dinosaur like, yo, how are you going to sell consoles? How in the world you don't have an identity? Like I was in this whole depressive state too. The fanboy in me was definitely coming out that day, and I was like, this is insane. But once things started rolling and you understood what they were trying to do, and how it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Well, all that matters is, are you enjoying the game, bro? Like, are you having fun with the game? That's all that matters. If you're having fun with the game and you're enjoying the game, that should be the only thing that matters. Honestly, if somebody else plays the game on PC, let them. The thing is that it's a part of the ecosystem. This is the direction that these platforms are going, ecosystems. And I think it's still good to have the ecosystem because at least in that respect, it is locked to a console. It's still locked to a platform. You're not playing these games on Nintendo. You're not playing these games on PlayStation. So it still gives you incentive to invest in Xbox, or it still gives you incentive to invest in PlayStation or Nintendo. So I think that PlayStation games going to PC is good. I do expect them at some point to go day and date. I just think it's inevitable. And the day they do, yes, Sony's fanboys are going to have a meltdown without question. And I feel for you. But do understand that that's going to be a huge get for PlayStation. And if you think that a game like, let's say, God of War, which sold, I think, 10 million on PlayStation 4, and you put that on PC day and date, it's going to double that number without question. Let's just keep it 100. It's going to double that number. You're talking about console sales plus PC sales at the same time. Why they don't do that, I don't know. I don't know. If I was them, I would have been doing it a long time ago. PlayStation people or console people are going to buy consoles regardless. Everybody's not going to invest in a PC. Everybody's not going to want to build a PC. I built my own PC, and I get the infatuation of the building a PC. I get it. Finding the right parts, putting everything together, it working properly, playing games at the highest settings. It's an amazing feeling, but it's also a timely investment. It's money that you're investing in. It's upgrades that you're investing in. Like right now, I need to replace my motherboard, which means I have to buy another motherboard and maybe even sell my old motherboard at an obviously lower price than what I paid for it. But it's just the point that those changes are constantly happening, whereas a console is just static. It's there. You might get a driver update on the console, but for the most part, game upgrades happen on a software level. The console is already built to do whatever it is possible, whatever it is meant to do. It is up to the developers to suck out as much juice and power out of said console to make the most beautiful games they possibly can make. And that's something that happens over time. We look at what we played in the beginning of the Xbox One and PS4 generations, and then look at what Red Dead produced at the end of the generation. Look at Horizon Zero Dawn graphically, or God of War graphically, or Forza Horizon 4 graphically, Gran Turismo graphically, Forza graphically, Gears of War graphically. At the end of the generation, these games look absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful. And that's just really taking advantage of the hardware at the end of a generation. And it takes time. And I think that's what's going to happen with the PS5 and the Series X. And by the time we get to the end of the generation, we're going to see some really impressive content. But that's for console gamers. And again, that's a static situation we don't have to worry about. We just get the games and we play it. PC guys, on the other hand, maybe some guys want to get a new graphics card. They want to have ultimate, ultra settings and, the highest frame rate and things like that. And those are things that you would have to invest in to make sure your PC can handle those things. So again, it's not for everybody, but I think that if Sony did eventually go PC day and date, I just think it would be huge for them, honestly. And I think Nintendo, obviously they're in a class by themselves. Their online structure is terrible. I think that they really should work with Microsoft and get on Azure, honestly. I don't know what they're doing with their online service. They really need to get on Azure as soon as possible. And if they're able to do that, I think they'll have more success because I saw somebody playing Mario Party. Dude was like, we were lagging so bad that everybody lost the match. They all just fell off the whole entire map or whatever when they were playing the trial. So I just think that Nintendo really needs to get it together, man. Um, they're so behind when it comes to everything, you know. But they are also selling gangbusters when it comes to consoles. There's like number one every week, and they don't seem to be slowing down. When they release first party games, they're always hits. They're always highly rated and they sell gangbusters. I don't know what it is about Nintendo. They have a formula where it just works and people eat it up. People just eat it up. And they're not the most powerful platform out there, but I think the versatility of being mobile and the appeal to everyone of every age is really what sets them apart from the Xbox and PlayStation. And they found a successful space for themselves where they don't have to compete with the big boys for power and graphics. You know, they just have to compete for fun. And that's good for them. But they do need to evolve. They need to catch up in the online space, and at least the cloud space or whatever it is that they're trying to do, because I think they're behind in that space and it's not a good look. Okay, moving on. So more Xbox acquisitions. Obviously, there was news about that, about Microsoft still looking for the right studio if it pops up. Both came from Phil and Matt Booty. And I think that Microsoft acquisitions, if it happens, I don't want to put any studio out there that I think they should acquire. I honestly would like for them to develop a new studio and hire some excellent developers who are either free agents or poach them from major studios and do something very similar to what they did with the Initiative, but in a Eastern development team. After obviously playing Tales of Arise, we got Scarlet Nexus on Game Pass. You're starting to see more games return to Xbox. Shout out to Square Enix to put a Star Ocean back on Xbox, baby. After playing the 360 version, I'm very glad to see Star Ocean return to Xbox. Maybe Microsoft get lucky and get Persona on Xbox with the whole Sega partnership. Maybe that works out and they're able to get that on there. But Microsoft really needs to develop a studio, whether it's the Korean studio, Chinese studio, a Japanese studio. And I've been seeing some Chinese studios make some amazing games. Like recently, I can't remember the game, was something about Kings. And it was a Chinese studio that developed this game, man. It looked incredible. I'm not even gonna lie. I was really impressed with it. Hopefully it comes to the Xbox and PlayStation platforms, but it looked really impressive. But the reality of it is that I think Microsoft really needs to develop this studio and stop trying to, not stop, I won't say stop trying to buy studios, because maybe some studios need help and that's okay. But I think that if they were to develop a Asian-led team would be dope. Maybe they can get the Lost Odyssey and return as the IP and they can work on it part 2. Or they can create a new IP and go in a new direction. It doesn't even have to be a JRPG. It can be a Japanese action game like Wukong or something like that. But I just feel like they should develop that type of studio and hire the best talent out of Japan, or the best talent out of China, or the best talent out of Korea, and make some amazing games in that space with those developers. I think that'd be really cool if they were able to pull that off, honestly. As for purchases, I couldn't tell you, honestly. I know a lot of people look at IO Interactive. I know some people thought about Warner Brothers. I know some people said 2K. I don't know what people think with that, but I just feel like you have to get a studio that's talented, but and that's hungry, that wants to continue to be in the industry, but clearly aren't having as much financial success like what you've already purchased. You know, like a lot of the studios that they purchased financially were on the outskirts of uh basically closing down as a studio because they couldn't financially maintain themselves. They had to constantly do Kickstarters or beg publishers for money. Um, and teams like Double Fine, Ninja Theory, Obsidian, Compulsion Games, like those studios they were in trouble, and Microsoft came through and supported them in a great way, and they've had success since then. And the backing of Microsoft has really put them in a space where they can be creative, they can make the games that they want, they have the freedom they want, while also having the healthcare and financial backing that they've been dying for. And I'm very happy that those studios are able to get that, and that's good for them, including Bethesda. That's good for them. And I think Sony's trying to do the same thing with their acquisitions. Their acquisitions are smaller, but nonetheless, I don't think that they wouldn't be impactful. I think they're very smart when it comes to choosing studios and talent that shows in their first party, at least when it comes to Guerrilla Games and Naughty Dog and Sony Santa Monica. Those are some really high quality studios, and I think that when they pick up these smaller teams, they'll develop them over time and they'll become really good studios as well. Same thing with Microsoft. I think Playground, the Coalition, obviously Obsidian. We'll see how some of these other studios pan out. Arcane, but those are some really great studios that look like they have a lot of talent and going to produce a lot of good games for the Xbox platform. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I don't know, man. I can't really tell you what acquisition would be good for Microsoft to pick up right now in particular. But I really hope that whoever they pick up, if they do have IPs out there already, I hope it's not as impactful on the industry as, let's say, Bethesda was. Obviously, a lot of those games are going to be exclusive going forward. I know a lot of PlayStation guys are upset that they're not going to be able to play Skyrim. Skyrim Elder Scroll games or Fallout games without getting an Xbox in the future. But at least Microsoft still allows options for you to have an opportunity to play it, whether it's PC or mobile. Just join Game Pass. That's it. Just join Game Pass. Whereas if Sony did it, you probably have to buy a PlayStation, which kind of sucks. All right. Game of the year, man. Game of the year. So we got Game of the Year awards coming up. A lot of people talk about Returnal being Game of the Year. I didn't play Returnal. I can't talk on Returnal. I've only seen the game. I don't know personally if it's Game of the Year, only because of all of the buggy stuff that I saw in the beginning of its launch. A lot of crashes, a lot of PlayStation crashing, people losing their space during the game and stuff like that. Please don't act like that didn't happen, because it really did. But overall, whether or not the game as a whole was bad because of it, I don't believe it was. I think it did well. Did it sell out of this world? No, it didn't. I think it sold 500,000, $500,000, maybe it's $1 million now. But for them, that was successful, I guess. I guess it's a mid-tier title, and it did really well amongst PlayStation fans. People enjoyed the game, and they believe that's a Game of the Year contender. Psychonauts is a Game of the Year contender. That's another game. I have not played neither Psychonauts or Psychonaut 2. But my understanding is that Psychonauts 2 was very good. It had its own great, unique art style, and a lot of people were impressed with the gameplay of the game and actually surprised at how good the game would be. It rated really high, and it's just a testament of what Double Fine is as a studio and how good those guys are. And it's going to be really good to see what they develop for Xbox exclusively going forward. I think the cool thing about what we've seen so far with some of these games, even though they haven't been exclusive to Xbox, like Deathloop and Psychonauts, is that those two studios are owned by Microsoft, and it's indicative of the talent that those studios have. So you can expect whatever they produce next exclusively on Xbox to be surefire hits or to be highly rated as what the games they launched that were multi-platform on those platforms. Those games, when they become exclusive, the new ones should be very, very good. And that's something to be excited about. It shows that Microsoft made the right investment in purchasing said studios to bolster their library, and Xbox fans should be very happy going forward. But Ratchet and Clank, also another Game of the Year contender. I think Sony has some games up in there that should be contenders. I think It Takes Two was also another game that was very well received and a lot of fans loved, even though it's a smaller title. I think that it shouldn't matter if it's a small title. I think if the game is that good, it should be considered Game of the Year. And I've heard a lot of great things about It Takes Two, which is actually hitting Game Pass very soon. So I don't know what will be Game of the Year personally. For me, what I played throughout the year so far, oh man. I've been playing a lot of games. I don't know, man. I think the last game that I played, or the game that I'm playing right now, is Tales of Arise, and that's pretty good. That's actually a very fun game. My only issue I have with Tales of Arise is that Tales of Arise has way too much dialogue. It's just too much dialogue. Like I've played RPGs and I love dialogue, but you want to talk about too much talking? Like literally every 15 to 10 minutes, there's a conversation happening amongst this group. It's just too much. Like it's like I feel like at least 75% of the gigs downloaded as dialogue in this game. It's insane. I literally skip all dialogue. If it's not a main story, I don't even listen anymore. I don't even care. That's how I feel. I don't even care. I just skip it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's if it's not actual game story, I don't even care. I just skip it. But yeah, I guess Tales of Arise right now for me is up there. It's a very well done RPG. It's not mind blowing. It's not like I don't know something about it. Like it's good, but it's not Final Fantasy X. It's not. I wouldn't put it in my top 5 RPGs of all time, but it's a good game. It's a good game. I don't know what will be Game of the Year. I think I got to play more games. We'll see. Maybe when Halo comes out, Forza comes out, I'll get a chance to play Psychonauts 2. I'll see. I'll make a better decision. Maybe another podcast, I'll bring it back up as we get closer to Game of the Year awards, and we'll discuss it then. So finally, there was a commercial that Microsoft came out with, the 2042 commercial for Battlefield. And in that commercial, they had a scene where they showed a like Roman centurion. Xbox guys, listen, I love you. I love the Xbox community. I love how every little thing you guys see, it's got to have a meaning behind it. Everything. But there is no way that was Rise, Son of Rome 2. There's no way. I think that if they made a new Rise, it wouldn't be Son of Rome. Why would it be Son of Rome? The main character is It's over. Like if you played Rise Son of Rome at this point, spoilers, by the way. So if you haven't played Rise Son of Rome, you should probably mute your mic or leave. But if you played Rise Son of Rome, you know that at the end of the game, the main character dies. His story is over. And that's it. He goes on and we move on with the game. The idea that the developers wanted to make another Rise game, it wasn't supposed to be the Son of Rome. It was supposed to be another Rise game based on Britannia. You know, maybe like instead of it being a Roman centurion, it was more of a barbarian. They talked about maybe a knight, like a different era. They talked about including magic. They talked about maybe having dragons. Like they talked about more mystical things, unlike the realism of Rise Son of Rome, where they sort of kept it simple, but it became repetitive, unfortunately. They talked about exploring more mystical aspects in the next Rise game. I wouldn't expect Rise Son of Rome 2 to come out. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You're going to continue to explore Rome after you topple Neo. Like, what's the next Roman leader that you explore? Caesar or somebody else? Like, I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't make sense to me. And I don't expect Rise Son of Rome to be real. I know that there is a rumor going around about Rise Son of Rome 2 is in development. But again, it's a rumor. We don't have anything substantial truly backing up that rumor. And I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think it's truth. So I really would hope you guys stop running with that as something that's actually going to happen. But if they do come out with a Rise game, I expect it to be something different. As I said before, I thought that it would have been great if Microsoft was able to get the Rise franchise, if they were able to buy it from, I forget the name of the studio, but if they were able to buy it from them, and if they bought it from them and they were able to sort of did something like Final Fantasy, where every Rise game was a different game in a different era. So like Final Fantasy, every Final Fantasy is different. They sort of have the same spiritual premise. You know, obviously the summons, mostly it's always about some character that is dooming the world or planning, and it's up to you to stop them. But each character is different. The world is different, and the environments are different. So if they were able to do Rise, I would have loved, because they did it based on modern history, but they chose a random soldier within modern history. Would have been great if they could have did that again. Like if you could do Genghis Khan and have been a mongrel during the rise of Genghis Khan, would be dope. If you could have been a soldier in Alexander's army, if you could have been a soldier in, I don't know, just any modern or like if you could be a random character in any historical event during history, through all the wars and empires in history, that would be dope. You could be the rise of some great warrior in this history. You know what I'm saying? Like imagine being a warrior during the rise of the Zulus, or something along those lines. I just think it would be cool if they were able to pull something like that off. If they were able to do something like that. That would be dope. But you don't want to just keep following the same routine of Rome. You want to do something different, something special. And I think that if they were to release a new Rise, it would be something different. So let's hope that That comes true though. I ain't gonna lie. It'd be dope if they was able to do it. I thought Rise was a good game. Um, Graphically, it's one of the best looking games of last generation, and the story was great. It just was a bit repetitive. But other than that, it was a really good game considering everything that it went through development wise. Because remember, it was used to be a Connect game. They changed it, and that's okay. That's okay. It turned out decent, cult classic at this point. So we'll see how it all pans out. But anyway, that's it. That is it, man, for today's show. I want to thank everybody for rocking with me today. I appreciate the support. As always, I am here every Tuesday now going forward, starting at 12 p.m. Finally got some time back to myself now that my children are both in school. Feels good to have a little bit of freedom. And I want to thank everybody for rocking with me on Twitter and everybody's rocking with me on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. I truly appreciate the support. And if you have any questions, you can hit me up on Twitter at Super Podshots. That's at Super Podshots on Twitter. If you're looking to game with me on Xbox, you can hit me up on Xbox. The name is OX3 Kalel, Kalel. That's OX3 K-A-L. I said K-E-L, sorry. K-A-L-E-L. And you can hit me up there as well. I will definitely be back next week, man, for another episode of Super Pod Shots. And hopefully we got some more great news coming up. I can't wait to talk about Forza, review that. And I can't wait to get my hands on Halo. So we'll see how it all pans out, man. I want to thank everybody for the support. And see you guys next week. All right. Have a good one. I'm off this planet. Peace.